Welcome, focus learners, to another deep dive masterclass. Today, we're not just studying, we are strapping in and treating your Cambridge Computer Science and Information Technology exams exactly like a high-stakes Formula One race. We are racing against time, where the margin between a B and an A star is literally fractions of a second. Pit crew strategies applied to exam timing mean absolutely everything in this environment. Every single second counts. We're about to completely unlock the hidden mechanics of Section 1.1, Sources of Direct Data. We're talking questionnaires, interviews, data logging, and observation. And we're doing this using the raw telemetry drawn directly from the principal examiner reports. Now, to really set the stage for the challenge ahead of us, I want you to visualize two students sitting in that deadly silent Cambridge exam hall. The clock is ticking down. Let's call them Alex and Sam. Now, Alex is what I call a data dumper. When faced with a complex scenario question on direct data sources, Alex panics and just overloads the page with raw computer science facts. We're talking spitting out perfect, robotic textbook definitions of data logging or structured interviews, but providing absolutely zero analysis. There's no connection to the real world. On the other side of the hall, we have Sam. Sam rushes. The clock is ticking, the tension-building music in Sam's head is absolutely deafening, and Sam entirely misses the command word requirements. The exam paper says, evaluate, but Sam writes brief, unlinked, panicky sentences that barely describe the topic. If we pulled their papers right now, whether they were sitting syllabus 0417, 0478, 2210, 9618, or our specific focus today, the formidable 9626, their answers would be completely covered in red pen marks from the examiner. Why? Because they are lacking the precise, context-driven pit stop strategy required to secure top marks. They have the horsepower, but they have zero handling. Let's fix that right now.
Okay, let's take a quick look at the track layout for today. Here is our strategic roadmap. First, we'll start by demystifying direct data sources and looking at where the actual application gap happens. Second, we're going to master the core principles to build your architectural framework. Third, we dive into the methodology of success, how to actively earn those elusive method marks. Fourth, we'll hit the interactive workshop and evaluate evidence quality. And finally, we will break down how to avoid the classic exam mistakes that cost students entire grade boundaries. Let's start the engine.
All right, Sector 1, demystifying direct data sources and addressing what we call the application gap. This is where the theoretical rubber meets the practical road.
I need you to listen very carefully to this stark warning straight from the Cambridge senior examiners. They write, sources of direct data is one of the most misunderstood areas. Students fail to apply concepts to unfamiliar contexts. Look at that phrasing, most misunderstood. Superficial breath is no longer enough to survive this paper. At first glance, things like questionnaires, interviews, data logging, and direct observation seem incredibly simple, right? You're probably sitting there thinking, come on, I know what a questionnaire is, it's just a survey. Move on. But this assumption is heavily misunderstood. And it's exactly where our student Alex goes completely off the track. Alex writes on the exam paper, a questionnaire is a set of printed questions used to gather information. True, absolutely factually true. But guess what? In a 10-mark scenario question, that sentence is worth 0 marks. 0. In Cambridge exams, these concepts are not just vocabulary words you memorize on flashcards. They are specialized tools in a highly specific diagnostic toolkit. Think about an F1 team. If they need to understand fan engagement at a specific race, they might use a targeted questionnaire. But if they need to monitor tire degradation and engine temperature at 200 miles per hour, they absolutely have to use data logging. The method you choose to write about must perfectly align with the specific constraints of the scenario, things like budget, time limits, and the target audience. The examiner is going to deliberately throw a completely unfamiliar context at you. They are never going to just ask you what an interview is. They are going to ask you to justify why an unstructured interview is the most appropriate method for a systems analyst who is investigating a failing legacy relational database at a busy regional hospital. If you just recite the dictionary definition of an interview in that moment, you crash out of the race. You completely miss the application gap.
So I have to ask you directly, and I really want you to think about this. Why do students find applying concepts to unfamiliar contexts so incredibly hard? Why do Sam and Alex fail this repeatedly, year after year, past paper after past paper? The core issue is that they entirely lack a conceptual framework. They don't have a reliable, step-by-step engine to process the raw data of the question. Before we continue and I reveal that framework, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon right now. Okay, back to it. The framework I'm talking about is the PEAL framework. Point, evidence, explanation, link. It is the absolute core of our answering strategy. It's your pit crew protocol for every single long-form question. Let's get back on the track and look at the actual architecture of a winning response.
Transitioning into Sector 2, mastering core principles and building the architecture. This is where we shift from generic memorization to high-level, specific understanding.
Now, what's really fascinating about this matrix is how it visually maps the exact architecture of top-performing answers. Let's read across the rows together. If your core principle in your answer is just definitions, like Alex giving us the textbook definition of a sensor, the examiner expectation is mere mastery of basic facts. As a result, your mark impact is just the baseline. You're getting 1 or maybe 2 marks and you're stuck at the back of the grid. But if you move down a level to causal relationships, you start showing systematic analysis. You're explaining why a sensor is used. Now you're achieving analytical depth. You're fighting for a podium finish. Finally, the absolute pole position is cross-topic integration. This is where you demonstrate contextual transfer and achieve significantly higher marks. What does this look like in practice? It means integrating your knowledge of direct data logging from Section 1.1 with, say, hardware networking protocols from Section 3 or database security from Section 8. You are explicitly showing the examiner that you understand the entire interconnected ecosystem of computer science, not just a list of isolated bullet points. You're showing them the whole car, not just a single tire.
Which brings us beautifully to Sector 3, the methodology of success. This is all about moving from pure theory to the strict procedural framework examiners use to award those precious method marks.
Let's walk through this 5-step standardized sequence. Think of this as your absolute non-negotiable pit crew protocol. Step 1, identify key elements. What is the command word actually asking? Is it evaluate, discuss, describe, or compare? Sam always messes this up. Step 2, apply relevant principles. Select the correct direct data source for the scenario. Step 3, execute analysis with clear working. This is where your PLL framework is deployed. You make your point, you back it with evidence from the scenario, you provide an explanation of the technical mechanics, and you link it back to the original question. Step 4, verify results. Take a breath and ask, does your answer actually make sense in the given real-world context? And finally, Step 5, present in the appropriate format. We call this entire sequence the method mark strategy. The sequence itself, your logical process, is genuinely just as important as the final answer you put at the bottom of the page.
And here is why that sequence matters. The crucial point of the method mark strategy is this: clear working equals guaranteed marks. The Cambridge examiners are trained to actively reward your logical, structured reasoning. Let's say you're evaluating a scenario about a hospital. If you explicitly note your thought process, identifying constraints like, because the intensive care unit needs continuous 24/7 temperature monitoring without any human intervention or delay, data logging is the only viable direct data source. You are actively earning method marks. Even if your final overall recommendation at the end of your essay has slight flaws, your explicit notation and structured reasoning prove your analytical depth. It's exactly like showing you're working out in a complex, multi-stage math problem. The examiner wants to see your telemetry log. They want to see how your brain arrived at the conclusion, not just the conclusion itself.
But listen, it doesn't stop at just the reasoning. Look at these strict presentation conventions required for practical application answers. You need proper headings. You must use correct terminology. Don't ever write watching people doing their jobs. You need to use the industry standard term, direct observation. You need appropriate formats and clear annotation. Sloppy presentation bleeds easy points faster than a punctured tire on a hairpin turn. Our student Sam lost 3 entire marks on a past paper simply by ignoring the required professional format for a data collection form. Stop scrolling. Subscribe to our YouTube channel Ace the Exams at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. We've helped thousands of students improve by 2 to 3 grade boundaries. Join them right now by subscribing to @acetheexams_IGCSE and turn on all notifications so you never miss our weekly exam strategy sessions. Let's get into the interactive phase. Welcome back to the track. We are now entering Sector 4, Evaluating Evidence Quality. This is the critical analysis stage, where the real interactive workshop begins. Get your brain in gear.
In this phase, you must conclusively prove your analytical depth regarding the 4 direct data sources. To get those top-tier marks, you must identify limitations, spot assumptions made by the scenario, provide alternative interpretations, and assess the ultimate effect on the conclusions. Let's dive into Challenge 1, the data scan. I want you to imagine a complex data table on your exam paper showing the response rates of a massive 50-page printed questionnaire that was mailed out to busy corporate executives. You have a 60-second visual countdown timer in your head. What is the core trend? The response rate is practically zero. Why? Because the methodology is completely flawed for the target audience. Busy executives do not have time for a 50-page printed booklet. Now let's look at Challenge 2, Find the Flaw. Listen to this sample paragraph written by our friend Alex. An interview is a good method for the systems analyst to use because you can ask questions and get answers directly from the user about the software. Okay, where's the critical flaw? It completely lacks context and fails to spot the core limitation. Interviews are incredibly time-consuming, expensive, and subject to severe interviewer bias. A top-tier student doesn't just passively collect data via an interview, they actively question the validity of that collection method based on the scenario-specific constraints.
Let's see how this critical mindset builds perfectly into our deconstruct, solve, evaluate cycle for problem solving. Step 1. You deconstruct the given information. Strip away the fluff and find the core constraints. Step 2. Solve systematically using your Peel framework. Step 3. Evaluate by checking reasonableness and fully justifying your recommendations. Let's run Challenge 3, Speed Writing. You have 30 seconds on the visual clock right now to mentally write one perfect Peel paragraph answering this. Why is data logging superior to direct observation for monitoring a remote river's chemical pollution levels? Go.
Time's up. Your mental structure should look exactly like this. Point. Data logging provides continuous, objective, high-frequency data. Evidence. Solid-state sensors can take accurate readings every single minute, 24 hours a day, in a remote location. Explanation. This completely eliminates human fatigue associated with direct observation and removes the risk of human error in a hazardous environment. Link. Therefore, for accurate long-term environmental monitoring, data logging ensures significantly higher data integrity and safety. Boom, that is how you execute a perfect mark-grabbing paragraph under immense pressure.
All right, we are on the final lap now, entering Sector 5, Avoiding Classic Exam Mistakes. These are the ultimate alerts that you need to internalize right now.
Pay close attention, because these warnings are pulled straight from the examiner reports. If you ignore these, all of your theoretical knowledge is totally wasted. Notice the stark visual difference here. On one side, we have the generic answer. This is reciting textbook definitions. This is Alex's absolute specialty. Alex writes, data logging uses sensors to collect data automatically. That gets 0 context marks. It's generic, it's boring, and it applies to literally everything. On the other side, we have the context-specific answer. This is where the magic happens. In the context of the Formula 1 engine testing scenario, data logging using thermal and pressure sensors allows for continuous, high-frequency data collection at extreme temperatures where human observation is physically impossible and fundamentally unsafe. Look at how that response transforms a generic fact into a laser-targeted weapon. You can practically see the red pen marks transforming into green check marks. Never, ever give a generic response. Every single point you make must anchor securely and logically to the specific scenario provided in the exam paper.
To summarize our complete answering system and finalize your cheat sheet, let's recap the top 3 examiner warnings directly from the Cambridge Principal Examiner reports. Warning number 1, forgetting to include the proper format for direct data sources, which means bleeding easy method marks. Warning number 2, failing to double-check that format and presentation against strict professional conventions. And warning number 3, which is by far the most fatal mistake you can make, answers are not specific to the context given. If you follow our 3 golden rules, command word decoding, Peel framework application, and the time management matrix, you will completely bypass all of these costly errors. You will drive right past Alex and Sam on the track and secure your top grade. Students who implement these specific computer science strategies see an average improvement of 2 whole grade boundaries. But that only happens if they practice consistently with our weekly explainer videos. Here's your final reminder. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Subscribe right now to acetheexams_IGCSE and click that bell. Don't let another exam pass you by. Drop a comment below with your target grade for computer science and the absolutely biggest challenge you're currently facing with your revision. Our expert team responds to every single comment. Like and share this video with a study partner right now. Ace the exams. Your Cambridge success starts here. So we cross the finish line with this final provocative thought. You now know the theoretical methodology, you intimately understand the pit crew strategy of Peel, the strict requirement for context, and the absolute necessity of structured working to secure those method marks. But the real test isn't just sitting here watching this masterclass. It's what you do the moment this ends. Are you truly ready to evaluate the next completely unfamiliar context the examiner throws at you? Take this F1 strategy, pull up a past paper this exact second, and apply it. I'll see you in the next masterclass.